Well, today we're here to talk about the value of a strong banking relationship. We've been talking about having a strong banking relationship, an accountant's relationship, a business coach's relationship, a good attorney on staff, and all of a sudden, COVID hits. And what do you think? The proof of concept is that all of this stuff has value to the success and the survival of the businessman. So, boy, I got a heck of a panel. But let me first give a shout out to my sponsor. You know, Shopware wants to remind you to stop spending time chasing customers. Shopware's leading shop management system is helping shops like yours generate more profit per ticket with less time on the phone. And hey, even during the pandemic, great software really does help a business. Break away from your legacy system and implement a completely contactless workflow today. Get started at getshopware.com. With me is Denise Guyton Boyer, Senior Vice President, Commercial Lending from FCB Bank. I imagine, is that what just FCB? Is there?
It was Frederick County Bank.
Okay.
We were a de novo bank. We were in existence for 18 years, and then we were recently acquired in January by ACNB Bank, which is Adams County National Bank out of Gettysburg, Pennsylvania.
Got it. Great.
Still a community bank.
You know, that seems to be the key every time we seem to talk about anything that has to do with financial stuff, Denise. The community banks are where to go. Mark Roberts is also with us, shop owner from Schertz Automotive and a bank board member from Schertz Bank and Trust.
Yes, that's correct.
I say that right?
Yeah, and we're a small community bank.
There you go. See, small. And so Mark,
6 locations, different communities in this area. So
Mark, you called me up about 2 months ago, and you say, "Hey, I got this idea. I'm driving around." And he says, we need to do a show on banking relationships, and I'm on the board, and I wanted to get a note, and they wouldn't give it. It was really such an interesting conversation. And I said, wow, why don't we do a show and, you know, the whole proof of concept and why a strong banking relationship is important. And thank you for being here and for the great idea, Mark. I'm sure you'll share some of those things. And then Dwayne Myers is with us, always a phenomenal contributor. Both Mark and Dwayne have always been from Dynamic Automotive 4-store operation, Frederick, Maryland. And Denise is your banker, so you got to say everything right here today. Am I right?
Well, she's my friend first, and
Yes.
she is my partner banker.
Well, look, so we're here to talk about the quality of a banking relationship. Dwayne, I really want to start with you. It's all about the relationship with your banker, just and no different than the relationships you have with your customers.
It is. I look at, you know, we're all, you know, relationship based with our customers, and I think what a lot of shops and shop owners miss is the fact that we need to have those also with our vendors, with our bankers, CPAs. We need those tight connections. You know, we value so much our community base, you know, and how we help the community, but we got to look back the other way too at the people that help us. You know, we're their customers. You know, we need to give them the same attention that we give our own customers. And by doing that, it builds that relationship. But it's important to get you through tough times because they do happen. We all know that.
Mark, you told me, you know, it's not sometimes too bad to have a couple of banking relationships possible.
yeah, I think it's helpful to have multiple. I wouldn't say, you know, a whole bunch of them, but at least 2. And you know, I've used the same banker for 20 years, and he is my friend first. And a number of years ago, I was looking at doing some other stuff, and my banker's 78 years old. Okay, and I always tell him, you know, it's the bus test, you know, that we talk about. I said, you know, Louis, I said, if you get hit by a bus tomorrow, there's nobody else in the bank that really knows my business and understands it like you do. Who's going to be your replacement? You know, and I tease him, you're getting up there in age, and you know, may retire or something like that. And so I had another local banker that's been in this area for a long time. I would send him all my financials, tax returns, quarterlies, everything. Just, you know, I told him, hey, I want you to be in the loop of what's going on in my business, because at some point one day, I may need you, and I want you to understand our business, from front to back. And so today, I'm actually using him for some stuff. And part of that came because of, and Denise probably is well aware of this, of rego issues of being a director at a bank. And there's just certain things that, they can't do. They make sure that I'm not getting preferential treatment. And so sometimes I know I don't get preferential treatment. I think I won't even say bad treatment, but not the best on stuff. And so I went out and made this other relationship. And a lot of that came from that phone call when I talked to you, because originally when the PPE loans were coming out, a director could not get a loan from their bank. And so that's what started some of it. And then they came back later and changed that ruling where you could, and it was all Regulation O. So, but I do think it's important to have not just one. There are two. Our community used to have 2 banks. That was it. We probably have 17 now. All 17 of them have courted me. I can tell you that. But out of those 17, there's probably only 2 of those individuals, which were with the original community banks, that are still in this area. The other ones have gone on to different branches or different positions. But it really comes down to, I have 2 very good relationships with the bankers and stuff. And so it's been good to have at least, for me, it was 2.
Do I dare say the word corporate? And I don't really want to put anybody in a box, but it seems, having talked to Mark, the bigger the bank, the more corporate it is, the less the relationship exists. Do you see that, Denise?
Well, as far as the bank that I'm with now, who acquired us, they are a community bank. They're a larger community bank. Frederick County Bank was half a million and $500 million in size. This is a $2 billion bank. But it goes back to the philosophies and their strategic mission, which is to serve the community. So at this time, I can comfortably and confidently say that the asset size of our bank is really right in play with all of my business clients. It actually has opened up opportunities in the fact that the legal lending limit has increased, because every bank has a legal lending limit. And to speak to what Mark was talking about, I mean, smaller community banks, they only have excess funds that they can lend in aggregate to any one relationship. So our legal lending limit has increased, and it also allows me to be able to lend internally without going to participations, outside resources to help. To fund transactions.
Got it. Denise, I want to stay with you on this next thought that I have about the value that the relationship you have with your clients as COVID hit and they were, what do I do next? PPP, credit lines. Explain to the audience, because we want this to be the kind of episode that people will look back at and say, I'm just starting a business. What's important? Oh, one of them will be a banking relationship. And no matter what happens in the future, how important is it because of the crisis?
Well, relationship is everything. It's, you never want your banking relationship to be transactional. It's not a one-stop shop. You want to have a relationship with not only your commercial lender, but with your branch team, because your commercial lender services loans, the branch side services your deposits. So you want to have people that you're comfortable and confident to know that you can call them any day and they're going to answer the phone and they're going to talk to you. So you're not going to get 800 numbers and get pushed around from department to department. Reciprocal relationships are key. They are vitally important. You want a banker that you have that relationship with. Just as Mark said, you're providing them with the annual financials. You also want to keep in touch with your banker. That's what relationship is. The good times, the bad times, because it allows your banker then to be able to respond quickly to your needs. hence the PPP program. Our bank in particular, we looked at every application that came across our desk, okay? I looked at every application, I handheld it to make sure that they were funneled properly and uploaded into the E-Tran system at the SBA, so that when they got there, they weren't kind of like discarded because it was missing information, which happened to be the case. So it's you know, cases like this with the COVID-19, the PPP applications, I can confidently say, and I think Dwayne can speak to this, is that it was the transaction was pretty seamless, and the turnaround time to receive their funding was pretty quick.
Denise said reciprocal relationship. So that's a two-way. So from your client, what are you expecting?
Well, just as I said, you know, no one likes to take the time to provide their tax returns or financial statements, and especially that naughty little form called the personal financial statement. That does take some time to complete. No one likes to do it, but it is so vitally important that you provide your banker with all of this information, because it doesn't get shelved, it gets used, it gets accessed.
Okay, let's break this down to our audience. The personal financial statement is necessary. It's got to be there. Is it because you want to have personal collateral, or do you just want to find out the solidness of me
Right.
as a person? Why?
Why? Okay. Well, pretty much anymore today, it's unheard of that you would obtain a commercial loan and not be asked to personally guarantee that loan. And as a guarantor, you know, you're standing behind your business, you're standing behind the loan that if the business fails to make the payments, you individually will make those payments. So the personal financial statement is key to know what your assets and liabilities are. It also allows banks to pull credit reports. You know what, I've been in banking for 37 years, and the one thing that I pretty much have been able to tell in my history is that I'm going to say 95% of the time, the way a business conducts their personal finances is going to transcend into how they conduct business and how they handle their finances of their business. They're pretty compatible there.
Makes a lot of sense. I got that, and I appreciate that. Now, let us do a little role play here, a little scenario. This wasn't on our talking points, everyone, but Denise, you're really motivating me to think this deep here. I am a brand. Yes, see my think is going on here. So I'm a new client of the bank's. You know, I've got a checking account there, and I come in, knock on the door. You're on the platform. I walk in and says, "Hi, my name is Carm. I'd love to start a banking relationship with you." Okay, I'm telling people what they need to be doing. You are going to welcome me and get me a cup of coffee, and then you're going to ask for stuff. What do I need to provide you to start?
Okay, well, first I need to know, tell me a little bit about your business. Okay, if it's a startup business, I need to know all the ins and outs of your business. Tell me what's going on. What is your objective? I mean, what type of loan are you applying for? Sometimes people are very well informed. They know what they want. And then other people just like they just can't figure out the dollar amount they need. It's important to understand. I tell them that you're going to need 3 years of your business tax returns, 3 years of your individual personal tax returns in this personal financial statement. It's often, we may need a debt schedule that's going to say what all your business debt, what the monthly payments are, the outstanding principal balance, and the purpose of the loan. And then
excuse me, loan purpose, a vehicle, building, credit line.
Right. What the purpose of the loan is.
Okay.
Exactly. And then always banks are going to want collateral. So it's pretty easy if you're getting a vehicle loan, a piece of equipment, that's going to be the collateral, real estate. Oftentimes businesses need lines of credit. depending on the health of the business and the longevity of that business, banks may secure the loan with a lien on the business assets, which for most banks, that is approved as if it were unsecured. Because when you go back, if the business fails and you go back and you try to, collect on those assets, I mean, it's pennies on the dollar.
Right.
It's expensive. So from that point, the borrower, will provide the information that is requested, and then, basically the commercial loan officer will do their analysis and come back to them with options. Now, often the loan could be a startup loan. So most banks are going to want to look to the Small Business Administration for a guaranteed back loan. They're very good loans. They do take a lot of effort and time, though. The application process, it is tedious. But at the end of the day, if a person does not have cash to put into the deal, a lot of cash, or they don't have collateral, the SBA loans are a wonderful tool. Through the SBA, you are required to have at least 10% cash in.
Cash. Interesting. Cash. Look at that bank account. There's nothing in it. Don't go and try to get a loan then, right?
Well, cash is king. Cash is king.
So I can't get money unless I have money. I can't get money unless I have some equity.
You got to have something, yeah.
You got to have something.
Yep.
Okay. And there's so many people starting in business today that put up their 401ks and the mom and dad loans to start. And, a couple of years down the road, they want to do something and they realize that they haven't structurized the business enough. Financial statements aren't what they should be. There's no business plan. They haven't saved. And so do you ever help an individual get on the right track so that they can have a good banking relationship?
Well, that's where it's key from the very beginning. It's absolutely crucial that you have a banker that is willing to take the time to mentor you. They don't know all the banking guidelines. They're not expected to know, but that's the banker's responsibility to work with that client hand in hand, to help them to know what the bank expects, to put them in that SBA loan, if that's what we're talking about, and to meet with them on a regular basis, collect the financials, and it's relationship oriented. You keep one another informed of what's happening.
What I like that she said, Dwayne and Mark, is if you didn't find the strength of the financial strength, then the SBA is a great option. And then you would, have either of you guys done SBA ever?
I can tell you, I just looked at the SBA for my new shop and stuff. It was a 504 program. When I looked at the fees for it, and then when I looked at what I say the blended rate is between what the bank was giving and what the SBA was doing, I just didn't think it was a good deal for me, and so I went with another option. It was just too expensive, I thought, and it's still not a fixed rate. Yeah, they'll go out 25 years. That wasn't that big. I have cash to put into it to do conventional, so I wasn't too worried about that. So, and I actually went with a credit union, which bankers hate.
I don't hate credit unions.
Most bankers don't like them because they don't pay taxes, and so I had a very good offer from a local credit union that was a fixed rate with a very, very attractive. And even my banker said, "You got to do that. You need to go do that. That's because you have the money to put in the deal, so that's a good deal." But she said something that part of me being on that board now is I do sit on loan committee. I have learned so much in the last year. Now I've only been doing this for a year, but part of that I've learned so much on the loan committee is that personal financial statements. So we get a report each week of who hasn't turned in financial statements, who hasn't turned in tax returns, and personal financial statements is always an issue. And I look at these statements that come in of people that have lots of entities. I've seen some very, very neat financial statements, but I've also seen some that look like a 6-year-old filled them out. And it's like, how do they run their business if that's how they're doing their financial statements? But I think Denise made a very good point, is that when you look at their personal financial statement and you look at their business, there's a direct correlation between those two, because it's typically those are the ones that need the most help, or their business isn't doing as well as maybe it should. And then going back on the relationship, my banker, we have a very good relationship. I spend quite a bit of time with him, and it was probably after about 6 years that I used him, he actually put my name out there for another company to be a director, but just because he said, your stuff is so clean and neat and orderly, everything's timely, your financial statements are good, and you always have everything turned in on time. And so he actually put my name out there for another organization. And so just through that banker, I sit on the board of probably 5 other entities that we look at, and one of them is well over $500 million in assets, 400 employees, and he's been very beneficial, very helpful to do that. And I told him no 3 times, and he came back and said, well, if I didn't think it was good for you, I wouldn't be asking you to do this. And so I went, I got nominated to be on their board, and I've learned a lot through that, learned a lot through just my year being on the board at the bank, and that was because of that relationship also. So they are important, and they are very helpful.
Thanks for that, Mark. Hey, one more time, and a shout out to Shopware. They want you to wow your customers while keeping your distance. Even while staying 6 feet apart, Shopware's innovative technology will help you move cars through safely and efficiently. Completely digital workflows allow customers to review, approve, and pay for repairs all in one place. Request a demo at getshopware.com. Thank you, Carol and Dwayne. Would you mind sharing the things that you have done with your community bank to grow Dynamic?
Oh, lots of things. Let's see. I want to say probably the best thing we did, and it kind of goes off of something Denise talked about earlier about what she expects from a client. I think trust has to be at the top of the list, and I have to give her truthful information, good or bad. If it's a bad month, a bad year, something's not good, I have to be able to give her that information, and she has to trust that what I'm telling her is true. And when we have that trust, we can do anything together, and we can build on that, and that's what builds the relationship. Something that the bank actually did, I was looking it up while you were all talking. Last year, we did a big video. They did a big video, I should say, of us, and it really it was amazing. The poster, and they used a local company to create a video that showed our partnership, which I want to share with you once we get done. I'm going to put it up there, and how we work together to help each other and help the community. But over the years, we grew our relationship. We came to her, and if you listen to episode 2, 3, and 4, Denise was our savior that we went to when we left big corporate bank when things went bad. And we won't get into that because it's too long. But episode 2, 3, and 4
on the Remarkable Results Radio podcast, episode 2, 3, and 4.
Mm-hmm.
Now, just to let everyone know that we're at episode 542 right now. Mm-hmm. So way back 5 years ago, when Dwayne and his partners came on in episode 2, 3, and 4 and told this incredible story, that's what Dwayne is referencing. Mm-hmm. And it was obviously Denise that was a component to all that back then?
Yes, it was.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. But at that time, we looked at it like, she saved us. She gave us a second chance at life. And then we built from that. She helped us. She schooled us. not that our financials were wrong, they just didn't look good, and she helped us, gave us ideas, things to do. And we
Wait,
turned in our reports.
They didn't look good from the format or the health of the company?
Health of the company.
Okay.
It was, but she saw something in there that I looked at them and she said, there's hope. And I'm still looking at them like, man, she sees something, and she was right. We dug our way out of that hole, and have gone back to her because we've expanded. We've expanded out of another location. We went back to her again 2 years ago and worked on a new location that we from our first location, we built a big brand new building that's doing actually really good right now. She was our banker that put all that together. We didn't do an SBA, but she looked at that every time. Like, this is the best option for you. And SBA wasn't it. But we built that and built a relationship with her, but with the branches, from the president down, we go to their functions, they have an event, we're part of it. They sponsor stuff, we sponsor stuff. Sometimes we sponsor things together in the community. And, when someone says, they say, look, dynamic, they know that we are a Frederick County bank partner. Without a doubt. And that's grown. And then they just recently did this video I want to share, which was an awesome video, but it really shows how much they love the community, they love their customers, and how tight our relationship has built in the last decade.
Can we is that on YouTube, that video?
It is.
Well, I'll put that link on the show notes page. Anyone wants to go to the website, but also post it up on Facebook for us, Dwayne. Thank you.
Sure, I will.
If I came to you, Denise, and you asked me for a business plan, how many of your customers say, I don't have a business plan?
Well, first I'm going to tell you, it's surprising how many do, because a lot of these entrepreneurs are of the younger generation. They're very in tune with what they need. So surprisingly, it's different than what I would have told you five to 10 years ago.
Okay.
I always tell my clients, you think of business plan and they kind of get overwhelmed. You just break it down into segments. It doesn't have to be a book. It needs to be clear and concise information. Like, tell me about your business. Tell me about you. Tell me about your experience in this industry. Tell me how you're going to market it. Tell me about your competition. Yes, you do need to do some cash flow projections for 3 to 5 years out. It's telling your banker that you have given this a lot of thought. And often, it's recommended, sit down and work with your accountant. Your accountant, as you said, is a part of your business family. So your accountant should have part of helping you to do your business plan when it comes to your projections. So it is key. It's an instrumental thing that we want. We also want to see your business mission statement. Tell us what your mission statement is. How does it connect you with your community and your customers or your clients? All very important.
I love it. Good finances mark financial statements, cash position, banking relationships, the right accountant in the accounting firm that helps you with good numbers, and you probably there's nowhere you can't go.
I would say that's correct. I mean, it's, you put all those together and you're an ideal customer for a bank. Yeah.
You're going into your second place, Dwayne, and Dwayne, you have 4, and who knows when the 5th one's going to show up, but Denise probably knows, but I don't.
I'm just trying to catch Dwayne.
I'm just trying to get some industry scoop here, but this is all great stuff. Now, we don't have to talk for an hour on the importance of a business relationship, because I will say this, I think you've nailed this so far. There's a question that came up about a great relationship with a branch manager. How important is that?
I think it's very important, because your branch manager, as I said, they house your deposits. So new accounts, new deposit accounts, they're going to implement those. When you have issues or you have a need, may not be an issue, but you have a need, you want to know that you can, not just your branch manager, but also you have relationships with the other staff in the branch, that you can get that information very quickly. So it's very important, very important. And this brings to mind when we talk about deposits, especially with local community banks in general. They use your deposits, your business deposits, to lend out to other businesses and consumers into the community. So deposits are really very important, and they are king to a bank, to me, because I want all of my clients' deposits. I want them all housed with me. Okay, which leads to the other, if I may, you all have businesses. You have competition. You have a lot of competition. Dwayne, I know you've got a lot of competition in Frederick. You may not always be the cheapest in town. Well, your banker may not always offer you the cheapest rates, but what are you getting in return for paying up a little bit on the rate? And I'm not talking a drastic difference. I'm just saying pay up a little bit for rate. You are also getting from that. You have this magnificent relationship with your bank, with your branch office, with your commercial lender. So there's value added there as well. Just want to put that out.
Thank you. I find that so interesting. When you deposit your money in my bank, I use it to do loans for other people, personal and businesses. And if I put in $1,000 and I paid out $1,000 out of that same checking account to pay my bills, pretty much you get my $1,000 for maybe a few days, and then I'll pay it. But if I was a really profitable company, some of that money would stay that you could loan out, right?
That's exactly right.
Yeah. So if I'm not a super profitable company and I'm always bouncing, you can't use my money.
We can't use your money, but we are able to, unfortunately, we have to charge you a non-sufficient fund fee.
Yeah.
And, that's how we make our money on these type of nasty little fees.
Isn't it amazing? Does the bank make all their money on those crazy fees?
Well, that is a huge concentration today is on fees, because I can tell you, and Dwayne can answer to this, our bank has always been like the lowest in town with fees. And I myself am fee adverse, which here you go. Like you need a commercial loan officer that's looking at your accounts and knows when you are delinquent. Like, it's an oversight. That person has the ability to waive a late fee on your loan, which with some loans, that could be a couple $1,000s depending on the size of your loan.
Hey,
and Carm, when you're talking about, you put $1,000 in, you spend $1,000, but that's still cash flow for them.
Yeah.
That's money in and out. It's usable, tangible money, even if it ain't going to stay long. We all know that's why businesses, a lot of businesses have been in business for a while, die, is because they run out of cash. They can be profitable. They just run out of cash one day.
They run out of cash.
Yeah. So that person that puts and takes, there's still value there. There is value there.
I see. Thank you. When are you starting your bank?
I have my bank. I stick to what I know.
One more. I have another great question for Denise. But do you know what's as easy as 1, 2, 3? Well, Shopware's management system allows customers to review, approve, and pay for repairs all in one place. 1, 2, 3. Keep your staff and your customers safe while maintaining profits and keeping your customers happy. Learn more at getshopware.com. Denise, by the way, I am so happy with where we are. I don't want to go for an hour because I think we built this incredibly concentrated episode on the value of a banker's relationship. But what else? What other client services can I look to my bank for?
Well, obviously you have all of your deposit pieces. Your banker should be able to offer you money market accounts, all the traditional products on the branch side. On the lending side, most businesses want lines of credit. They have suite products, credit cards, business credit cards, term loans, mortgages, construction loans, even rehab loans. So all different types of loan facilities. The one thing I did want to touch on, because I do forget, and it just popped up into my mind, is a lot of businesses don't want to pay tax. So that bottom line income on their tax return, they expense everything out so that it comes close to not showing any profitability in the business. That is what allows us. If you want to borrow funds, you've got to show some profitability in your business. We've got to see that bottom line net income on the tax return.
So you won't allow me to go in there and show you what I've been dumping in there, and you won't let me normalize and send you a completely different, this is the CARM P&L?
No, unfortunately, I mean, we have to go off of stated tax returns, and I can't tell you how many people come in like, I don't want to pay tax. I don't want to, I expense everything. Well, there's only so many expenses that we can add back to cash flow. Amortization, interest, expense, and depreciation. That's it.
Got it. Credit lines, guys, Mark and Dwayne. Never before have we heard so much about it. Denise brought it up. I want to ask you guys if you each have credit lines and what you use them for.
I do have a credit line with Frederick County Bank, and we've grown it, and I've used it for all different kinds of things. I used it we bought the steel building that we just put up ahead of time before the tariffs kicked in, and we got the steel a lot cheaper. We saved about $20,000. I used my line of credit to buy it until we were able to actually get the loan and all through, because we had to go through the process. So I used it for that. I've used it for cash flow purposes. I've used it for payroll. But it's a short term. It's that part where it keeps you from running out of cash. And what I wanted to say is, line of credits right now are very important. And right before this pandemic hit, it was just starting to surface. I'm part of the Chamber of Commerce on their board, and the CEO there, Rick Weldon, he told me, he says, it's going to be bad. He says, this is what's going to happen. And he told me about the restaurants and all. And that night I talked to Lee and Jose, my two partners. The next morning I called Denise and I told her, I want to increase my line of credit. And I told her what was going on, and we talked. And this is what she told me. She says, Dwayne, we're here for you. We have your back, and we're going to do whatever it takes. So 3.5 months ago, I had those words said to me. I've been able to sleep at night. I then went and relayed that to my team and told my team. They know how close our banking relationship is, because our team's worried. Everyone's team is worried about the business, and I can tell them that our bank has our back, and that meant so much, and we still did our due diligence, everything we had to do, put 1,000% into it. But instead of me wasting energy on worrying, I didn't waste it. I spent it on solving the problem and taking care of our people, so that, you want to know what a benefit or service I got out of the bank? I was able to help my team, and my team has been positive and great. And a lot of our team, Carm, they're awesome, and we care about them, and she cares about them, and that made such a difference, getting through this pandemic and all. So when people say, why weren't you so worried? It was her right there.
A big part of the family, the business family. Incredible. Mark, experience credit lines?
Yeah, you know what? I don't have one now. I had one for years and just didn't use it, but because I've always had cash, and I didn't use it, so I don't have it right now. That is something that we are going to look at with the new facility opening, and also just to be able to do some other stuff. But and so I always had money sitting in a money market account. So
okay, you had your own credit line.
Pretty much.
You didn't need the banks.
Well, I did that one time. My banker, I went in there to pay off a note, and the banker said, they had to call him over and say, what are you doing? I said, well, I'm paying this note off. Well, what are you doing that for? I said, well, I got the money sitting over here to pay it off. I'm going to charge myself 10% interest and pay it off. Well, I guess you could do that too. We have some other places you could put money. So
Sounds like a good problem to have, right? Here's a comment from Kevin Eckler. He says, I like to make deposits in person when possible just to reinforce the relationship with my branch.
Yeah.
That is so smart, isn't it? You know, you just don't need to know who the tellers are, but you need to know who's on the platform. And in the banking world, I believe the platform is the office area where all the big money deals happen, right? The platform.
What's nice, when you think about a community bank, I can go into either one of those two banks I use, and I feel like I'm going into old Cheers bar that everybody knows your name. So, that's nice, and you just don't get that in the big corporate banks. It's too much turnover.
This was great. I think we served up exactly what we wanted to, as far as to help the industry understand the value of a strong banking relationship. Thank you to Denise Guyton Boyer, Senior Vice President, Commercial Lending at FCB Bank. Mark Roberts, shop owner, Shirts Automotive, Shirts Texas, board member of Shirts Bank and Trust, and Dwayne Myers, who was so kind to drag Denise into this wonderful thing. And I am so glad you did. I can't tell you, I just learned so much. This was great. Dwayne's from Dynamic Automotive, 4 stores, Frederick, Maryland, and shop owner. Thanks for being here on the Town Hall Academy. Everyone have a great weekend, and thanks for hanging out.